there's some people in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, I don't think he deserves to be in the Hall. He never got out of the first round of the playoffs. Hey, it's FYF Sports.
What's going on?
And we back with we got another classic podcast, man.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you know, with these interviews, we like to go crazy with these interviews, man. Today, man, we finally got a guest on the show, man. It almost been feeling like he's been ducking us for a little bit, but,
Man.
you know, we finally got him here, man. So I definitely appreciate this guy taking his time to join the FYF Sports Podcast today. But, you know, before we get into the podcast, Steph, man, you gotta break down these sponsors, man. What do you got for us today, man?
I have zero sponsors.
No
but
sponsors,
like I always
man.
keep saying, we're going to keep pushing, we're going to stay positive, we're going to keep grinding.
Okay. I mean, I like the positivity, but Steph, we got to get some income coming in the show, man. What's going on, man?
Hey, I feel you, bro.
All right, man. So,
coming, man. Coming soon.
Man, today, man, we got a special guest, man. I'm going to tell you guys this, man. I'm going to give him his respect, too, man, because I didn't know a lot about this guy, man, before. I actually, even after I met him on Ticket TV, I didn't really know a lot about this guy. And I came across an article about this guy, man. And I was basically like, wow, this man has been through some stuff that none of us will ever go through. He's overcame a whole bunch of obstacles, man, to get to where he's at in life, man. So he makes me feel like I can't come up with no excuses for anything anymore. But, man, this guy, man, has had a strong basketball background. He's probably done more than a lot of us basketball-wise. I don't know if he's still attending the University of Minnesota or if he's still attending, but he's been to the University of Minnesota working on his journalism degree. And, you know, again, man, a lot of this stuff I read up on this guy. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna play a video I found on this guy, man. It was really motivational for me. And it actually gave me a newfound respect for him. Even though we destroy this guy on the debate stage on a daily basis, man, I got to give him his respect, man, because he's definitely grinding, man. He's building his YouTube just like us. And not just building his YouTube, man. He's doing a whole bunch of other stuff outside of the debate stage, off the basketball court, just in life in general, man.
I've always thought life was just a roller coaster. And I had no sense of direction. Now being in the Special Olympics and being in the World Games has now put me in a better sense of direction of what do I want to do with my life.
For Abel Mehari, basketball was a compass. The hardwood provided an escape through which he found acceptance. Growing up in Shakopee, Minnesota with an intellectual disability was difficult. Parrish motivated Mehari off the court too. He encouraged Mehari to pursue his dream of attending the University of Minnesota.
He always wanted to be a journalist, and I was like, the dream is not just going to be there, you have to go out and take it. And he was really, really inspired with that. He took my challenge and got accepted into the U of M.
I want to be a sports writer. I want to write my own articles. I want to be able to interview some of the best athletes in the world and being able to understand the world of an athlete.
Mehari's work ethic has not gone unnoticed.
And so far, people understand me. They understand the stuff that I go through on a daily basis. They see the work ethic. They see that I'm willing to go the extra step. And that's where I always take pride in. You know, I always take pride in the fact that people understand that I'm willing to go the major distance to be better in every aspect of my life.
So we're going to welcome Abel Mehari to the podcast. He has a sports podcast. We're going to post his podcast link in the description of this video. Make sure you guys go like, comment, subscribe on all his videos. Definitely support this man. We're going to welcome him into the show. We got Abel Mehari. Man, how you doing, Abel?
I'm doing very well, you guys. Thank you for having me on the show there, too. And, you know, I still have my USA uniform back here.
Oh.
So, you know, I take that very, very seriously. And one other thing, though, I also got this from ESPN as well. Check this out here.
Hey, you got that's what I'm saying.
That's
Hey,
dope.
hey, Steph. When I talk about accolades, man, I'm talking about. I don't think I'm ever in my life get an ESPY award, man. This man has a ESPY award, man.
Man, that's dope.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. People just you don't understand. That's why I say I be listening to these guys talk sports in these debates, man.
Yeah.
You talking about like James and LB. I could tell these guys don't got an athletic bone in their body, man. You know, and this man Abel. Hey, this man Abel actually was really out there doing it though. That's what's so crazy. Like really out there doing it. So
that's amazing, man.
The man is crazy. He almost got Ticket TV taken down. He said he was gonna waterboard somebody on the show. But you know what? Hey man, I respect this dude a lot, man. So Abel, just tell us a little bit about yourself first, man. I've been trying to hold FYF Fred back because Fred didn't like the jokes. He didn't like the jokes you was making about him on the show. So if you don't know FYF Fred, man, FYF Fred takes it pretty seriously. Man. Hold on, Fred, man, calm down, Fred.
Hey, he plays no games.
Hey,
bro.
man, before the show ends, man, you gotta apologize to Fred, man, because he's one of the big reasons why this show is what it is today, man. So we got, FYF Fred, man, let him know.
Right.
But hey, just tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, I mean, I'm officially graduated from the University of Minnesota back in 2018.
Okay.
And I've been playing Special Olympic basketball since I think 2011 up until now. I've been playing it for at least 9 to 10 years, so nonstop. So I particularly been playing in Minnesota, obviously, and then in 2014, as my freshman year in college, I received a call to represent the U.S. for the World Games, which is basically the ultimate, Olympics for Special Olympics athletes. And I remember training in Indianapolis and meeting some of the athletes that I met there. And there's actually, and here's the other thing too, if you research, there's a picture of me shaking hands with Terrell Owens during the opening ceremonies out in LA Coliseum in Southern California. I'm telling you, it is still out there. In fact, let me find this real quick. But as I'm finding it right now, I've been doing it for 10 years. I've won numerous gold medals as a unified partner. I've been a 4-time gold medalist in full athletic basketball. But also, I've been out there in the community, trying to encourage people with intellectual disabilities to go out and play sports, do something with their lives, man, because there's a lot of people that feel like there's no outlet for them to express themselves, man. And I take this very, very seriously. And right here, this is me and Terrell Owens right here shaking hands during the opening ceremony.
Okay. Oh man.
The Hall of Famer right here.
Wow.
I'm serious.
That's what's up, man.
I talked with T.O., during my time there in Southern California. He's not what people think he is. He's a really humble brother. He's a really respectful brother. And I got a huge amount of respect for him now as a person. But I always try to treat athletes as like normal people and get to know them as their actual person. I don't try to treat them like they're like superstars, ain't like that. Because they're human at the end of the day. But I tend to tell my teammates out there, just have fun, push yourself to the best of your ability, but make the most use out of your own talent. I'm not a great dribbler, but I work on my shooting all the time. And in fact, during high school, I got cut as a junior there, but I kept going to practices. I kept grinding until one person got in trouble and got kicked off the team, and then the coaching staff allowed me to join the team based on the fact that I show up every morning, shooting machines, doing cardio, putting in the work in, and then they respected my work ethic, and they allowed me to play some junior varsity the last 2 years. So it's never. Just remember, it's never the end. If the coaches see you practicing and working hard, even if you get cut, they'll see it and they'll give you a chance.
Most definitely.
That's what's up, man. Hey, man, like I said, man, I got a lot of respect for you, man, especially after I saw that story, man, on just your background and just how you grinded. Not just, like I said, and there's a lot of people who would just be content with just, the Olympic stuff. But this man is still working outside of that, like I said, with getting his degree, and then also trying to build his own platform, not just settling for a job in journalism, but trying to create his own pave his own lane in journalism with his own YouTube channel, man. So that's why I say y'all make sure y'all find his link in the description of the video. Make sure y'all go to his videos and make sure y'all subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we definitely got to support a brother like this, man. Even though he's a little crazy, he's a little crazy on the basketball facts, but this man is definitely he puts in the work, man. But hey, so
yeah, that was huge and important that he said as well. I mean, that's a big huge key is that it's never over. You know what I'm saying? Even when you think you get cut, you hit no all the time, or it's all mental. You know what I'm saying? It's only over when you say it's over. So man, everybody just keep grinding, man. Keep grinding.
Sir.
Correct.
So, first topic we got for you today, man. This is a light work for you, man. I know you can destroy this, but I gotta obviously me and Steph, we just did a video on this, but we both have different perspectives on this with the ban of the Confederate flag in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Man, let us know your thoughts on that. Like, you feel it was the right thing to do? What do you think about the Confederate flag itself? And how do you feel about drivers like Ray Ciccarelli, who said he's gonna quit NASCAR because of it?
Well, I'll break it down in 3 different ways. Number one, for me, I've always viewed the Confederate flag as like basically a symbolism of racism and tyranny, and when it turns to black people. People forget that the flag was basically built during the Civil War times, basically to represent oppression and slavery during that period of time. And so I believe that flag should be banned from the United States altogether. But I'm glad that, NASCAR took the initial step, because they knew that at some point they were going to have to rid themselves from their old Southern background. Now remember, NASCAR was originally built from the South. So the Confederate flag was widely accepted, during that period of time. It was accepted during the Daytona 500, various other races, and a lot of drivers who probably primarily grew up in the South were pretty much used to that. But as soon as more black racers started to enter into NASCAR, there was a lot of pushback from that. Yeah. And one of my question would be, how would this end out in the long run? And NASCAR made the courageous decision because of what's been going on around the country. Now, number two, about the driver that quit, I think that driver maybe grew up around that flag, and it may have represented something different for him. But at the same time, if he's being ignorant about what the flag actually was meant for, then you really are just becoming ignorant. And so I personally think that, it's his choice, but he made the wrong choice for himself. But I'm not going to cry tears over that. But I think that in the long run, more and more people are starting to understand what the Confederate flag means. It's almost an equivalence to what the Nazi flag is in terms of what the Jewish people think about that Nazi flag as well. So now, they initially started to exile that flag in a sense, but now it's much more equivalent than ever before with what's been going on around this country. So that's pretty much my thoughts about that.
All right, and so I was talking with Steph about this. This is a little bit deeper.
Okay. As
it correlates to with the Colin Kaepernick situation, people talk about Colin Kaepernick disrespecting the flag. Mm-hmm. I look at this situation and I say that people who fly the Confederate flag alongside the current U.S. flag are disrespecting the flag, because you are waving a flag of a group of people who were against the U.S. as it's currently constructed.
Right.
So I feel like if you wave that flag, it's disrespecting me, and you're disrespecting how I feel about the current U.S. flag, because you're representing a group of people who didn't want the U.S. to be what it is today. You see? And to take that further, and you might be able to dig a little bit deeper into this. So the original Confederate flag is not the flag that we see with the X and the stars across. The flag that we see today was created by the KKK when they started to arise after the Civil War. Right. So they created that flag strictly to represent the oppression of blacks and white supremacy. I feel like if people in the South want to protect that heritage of the Confederate flag, I don't have a problem with them doing it if they use the original Confederate flag called the Stars and Bars that was used back then. Don't use the third version of the flag that was created by the KKK to specifically designed to represent white supremacy and oppression of minorities. So, I mean, how you feel about that?
That's a good point though, because I think that I think there's a lot of Southern people who don't know the background of that Confederate flag. If you ask them straight up how this flag was originated from, I bet you 7 out of 10 people would not figure out how that flag was originated from.
Oh my God, that's so true.
And I think that what has happened is that when they don't teach themselves about what their history is, about how things were at that time during the Civil War era, and after that, they become lost and they become figureheads of their own, hypocritical standards and racism. And so, here's my bottom line to this. I don't have an issue if you're using the flag to represent where you're from, because if you have your own flag about where your ethnicity is from, that's one thing. But if you use it in a way where it's basically you're using it to put racism in our faces, that's where the line gets drawn. Right. And right now, there's a lot of people out there in this country that feel like the line has been drawn now because you're waving that flag in our faces to some of your own personal hatred towards minorities and black people.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people have those flags like plastered on their front of their homes. In Indiana, where I used to work, I used to drive and do change the meters, and that's all I used to see, and it's just crazy. Like me personally, I never really had a problem of about the flag, because just like you said, I don't know the history. I didn't know the history of the flag growing up. I didn't know what it meant. You know what I'm saying? So when people out in their cars and they got it around or hanging over their shoulders, just walking around, I didn't know. I never knew what it meant. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy.
And another thing too is I've seen white people put the flag on their skin as tattoos as well.
Yeah,
that too. And so when I look at that, I said, fine, but if you don't know how the flag was originated from, you become basically useless to me.
Well, I look at it like this, man. I'm not gonna say that they're that ignorant, because you'll have some people who will tattoo the swastika on their body, and they know exactly what that swastika means. But what they do sometimes is they will say the swastika represented a political party. It doesn't mean oppression against Jews. It's a political. So I feel like anybody can come up with a convenient excuse to try to make it seem like they don't have ill intentions. But I'm not gonna let you think that I'm that stupid, because I know that y'all know. Like that, and that's where they try to think that I'm not gonna let you play the dumb role, because I know that they know this stuff. That's the main thing.
It's almost like they treat it like religion. Like everyone has their own perspective. Everyone believes in what they believe in. You know what I'm saying? It's like no one's is on one accord. I just feel like everything is just everywhere when it comes to the flag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. See, I always view racism as a learned behavior. It's something that you learn.
Oh God, yes.
It's something that you learn from your family.
Yeah.
If you grew up in that environment where racism is everywhere all the time, there's 2 ways you can go with this. One, you can reject their views and start living in your own world and start viewing the world a bit differently. But if number 2, you learn that behavior and you basically become more of the statistic and become more of the problem. So I think that what needs to happen, from my personal opinion, is we need to start breaking down the new generation and telling them what was being taught at that time and what you can do to try to stop it.
Right.
But it's more complex to that. But go ahead.
And I think history is a big part of what needs to be taught in these schools nowadays. Like the real history.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so I have 2 little boys, and when they go to daycare, it's predominantly white kids there, but they love, they play. Oh, bye, have a good day. They hug, walk around. Just like you said, racism is taught. It's taught because if a kid can just play with them, not knowing, not seeing, they don't see color. They just see human.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Oh man, this is a tough subject.
It is a tough subject. It is a tough subject because if you have kids, you're basically they're gonna put you on notice. The one thing that I respect about little kids is they ask questions all the time. They'll keep asking questions nonstop, and you're gonna come across a point where they're gonna ask you like, why they say this word, and then you're gonna be put in a position where you're gonna have to explain what it means and why they use it. And so the one thing that I hope that I would do when I do become a father is hit them ahead right away. Let them know what this word is, and let them know that this is something that's not going to be tolerated. Yeah. Because they use it in a way to try to infiltrate their own personal hatred. Right. And they'll try to direct it to you to make you feel their pain, but the more they're by hurting themselves than us.
Right. We also got to hold ourselves accountable as well, because it starts with us. Because every word is all my N word, my this, my that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it definitely starts with us.
Yeah, I have me and my friend of mine that I work with is we try to our mission not to use the N word even right in front of us, because we know what time it is when it comes to that N word. So
that's what's up, y'all. So again, appreciate you speaking on that. We definitely had to get that out of the way, because again, with the stuff that's going on in the world today, we have to make that the highlight topic, man. We have to get on that. So now we can.
One thing, I just feel like what we're dealing with now, I think that's something we should be encouraging and continually talking about or touch on. You know what I'm saying? But I'll let you go ahead and take it away from the next.
But that's what I said. We have to touch on those serious topics. Definitely. But with that being said, this is a sports channel, and so we got to hit you with some questions about basketball, man. Like, what do you think, man, is going on with and just not what you've heard. Like, what do you personally think? Like, what is going on with Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and these players? Like, why do you feel like they're bumping heads so much, and why do you think the media is making it pitting one against the other?
I think, to me, though, there's something about Kyrie's personality that the media does not like about. Now, for me, studying journalism, there are ways to try to manipulate the media to try to side in your favor. I think LeBron does a good job of doing that. And to me, when it came down to when Kyrie began to voice some of the concerns that the players were having, and they felt that Chris Paul was not hearing their concerns, Kyrie was the first guy to very much step up to the plate and hear their concerns. And now he's got star players that are pretty much siding with him on that particular issue. Now, what I talked about, in my previous videos too, is that Kyrie is smart enough to know what's going on around here, but they understand that there's going to be a financial hit they have to deal with here if they decide to go this route, because they know with each deciding choice they make, there's one choice they can make. If they decide to play, this is going to send a bad message that the league does not care about the safety of their players. But if they decide to not play, therefore they're going to lose a lot of their money. So they're pretty much stuck in a binding position. Now, when it comes to the bumping head situation, sure, there's been history between LeBron and Kyrie in terms of bumping heads with each other, in terms of Kyrie not being his own man, and LeBron being petty to him at times. But I don't think that has anything to do with the current state of mind, because to me, Kyrie is doing his due diligence as a vice president of the Players Association to adhere to the concerns of the players. And right now, there's pretty much we can pretty much agree that there's a major split between players that want to play in light of the pandemic, between players that don't want to play in light of the pandemic, and the social injustice issues. Right. So I think that right now it's more of a philosophical split rather than just personal feelings between the two. But it could be the case though too. We don't know that.
That's what's up, man. I like that. I think and I didn't even know Kyrie was the vice president of the Players Association, so I didn't know that.
Exactly.
So
that I didn't know either. That
makes it almost his duty to take up a side that's if most of the players are coming to him saying this is how we feel, it's his duty to take that head on. So unlike LeBron, he can't really come out and try to influence people based off of how he personally feels. He has to. He took that leadership role. Now he has to go with the masses and present their argument as well. From what I was hearing, though, it wasn't necessarily about not playing. It was about them not necessarily wanting to play in the type of restrictive bubble.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of them want to play. A lot of them don't want to play with those types of restrictions. That's what they're hashing out now. They're hashing out the specifics with regards to the bubble itself.
Right. I think it's really a couple though. I mean, those two as well, and with what's going on with we have a bigger fight to fight as well. So it's like three different things, three different topics that what I'm saying, they're up in the air and fighting against and fighting for. So
but also keep this in mind though. This is a very, very important thing. And I touched about this on my show. You can check out my basketball conversation shows Friday nights 9 p.m. Central Time on my channel. But I read something on Bleacher Report that actually makes it very, very equivalent to what in this conversation. If the players decide to basically tell the league we're not going to play any basketball, therefore the original version of the CBA can be ripped apart, and therefore they'll be forced into a lockout until a new compromised CBA can be reached. But therefore, Kyrie Irving could lose out on the $33 million he's being guaranteed in his broken net deal. Plus, as far as the Anthony Davis situation, he didn't sign the extension, right? Therefore, he'll lose on a lot more money that he could be receiving if he didn't receive another bigger extension on the deal, like a Supermax type or something like that. Therefore, he could probably have to wait it out, and he's going to lose more money in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Lamont actually touched on that on the one interview we did earlier. So, but yeah, definitely. That's crazy. You went into a little bit deeper detail about what's going on with money wise. So, but yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yes, I think because I think the NBA, and from what I've heard, wanting to finish this season out to recoup some of the lost money. I think the NBA really wants to do this because if this season doesn't happen, they have to tear up their CBA and start from scratch. And see, that's what a lot of people don't. So it's more at stake for the NBA than just this season. It could potentially be a lockout by default if they don't play this season because all of the money that was lost, they have to tear up the CBA, do a completely new deal, and that's going to create a lockout situation. So
I think they're doing it for the financial stability of the players. So I mean, I definitely understand that.
So
it's like Kyrie, he's
they got to figure it out. Yeah, they got to figure it out. They have to figure it out because it's a lot at stake from both sides. So like I said, the person who has the hardest job is Adam Silver. Because he has to. Obviously, he's done a good job of catering to his players and catering to the owners. And now he's stuck in between. Now he has to try to find a way to meet a middle ground to keep everyone happy. And that's a tough job in this situation, especially when it looks like half the players want to play and half the players don't want to play. So
the NBA is the best sports organization, period, man.
Way better than what the NFL is treating its players right now.
Hey, well, this is why Adam Silver, this is why he makes $15 million a year to figure problems like this out. So we're gonna see if he can earn that salary. We're gonna find out now. So, next topic, man. This one had me disappointed because it could be debatable, but at the same time, I don't think it's debatable at all. Too raw for TV, man. He said he made a video stating, "Here's why I think Wilt Chamberlain's greater than LeBron James." Well, what are your opinion? And where do you rank Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where do you rank Wilt and LeBron?
Well, see, with Wilt, Wilt's a different. It's very difficult because as great as Wilt Chamberlain was during his time, it was like a completely different type of specimen we'd never seen before or ever. But see, Wilt didn't play with the kind of aggressiveness necessary during big time moments. Almost sometimes in equivalence to what LeBron sometimes shows in big moments, not trying to dismiss his game. But I think, to me, if you ask me where I would put Wilt Chamberlain, I mean, LeBron, to me, I put him maybe top 10, top 5. But here's the thing. If you ask me if I put LeBron in my top 10, I put him at least 6. I'm not dropping him below 10 because that would be an insult to him. I can't do that. But with Will,
6.
Yeah, I mean 6 because I can name 5 other players that are better than LeBron. But I'm not trying to put him below 10 or put him like between 6 and 10 because that would be an insult, and I would be crazy. I can't do that.
So let me ask you, so in your top 5 or top 10, what are you looking for? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like what makes those players that you choose over LeBron?
See,
like higher than LeBron, I mean.
Okay. Here's my criteria about this, and I have totally different criteria from Two Raw, Ticket, the rest of those guys. The criteria that I look at greatness is not just on skill level, not just on scoring and stats. I look at the ability of your leadership. How do you make your teammates better? How do you step up? How do you thrive in the big moments? How do you influence your team to go beyond their capabilities to try to get them to another level that they've never been into before? That kind of criteria I kind of look at, when it comes to great players. Now, when it comes to LeBron, I can say that LeBron, is a very unselfish player, sometimes to a fault. Now, with LeBron, he drives down the lane. He's a good passer. His IQ is fantastic as a player. Yeah. He can pass. He knows how to read defenses. He's pretty much he's pretty much the complete package. But the flaws I see with LeBron is sometimes he tries to do way too much than he doesn't have to. See, what the difference with Jordan is, I'm going to use that analogy of Jordan. Jordan, if he feels like you can do your role and you're able to, do your job effectively, he's going to back out of the way and let you do your job. Sometimes I feel like LeBron does too much and he doesn't have to. Yep. And I don't think that LeBron doesn't try in the clutch moments. I think sometimes he tries too hard. And sometimes you make mistakes that just leave you just scratch your head. I still hold LeBron against him for the 2011 NBA Finals because a great player like yourself, 4 points in the fourth straight NBA Finals, man. Come on, I can't let that go because you're a great player. You cannot perform. You cannot play like that in the NBA Finals. I can't let that go.
Yeah, I definitely, I could agree with that. You brought that final. I don't think no player of that type of caliber should.
Exactly.
4 points. Come on now.
And
I don't think no superstar has done that. But him, like, oh my God, that's
I think because of how he performed in that NBA Finals really drew a lot of the fans away from LeBron because they saw like this guy's no Michael Jordan because they never saw Michael Jordan do that in the NBA Finals because he's had performances that leave you like this guy wants it bad and he'll do whatever it takes to win it. I'm not saying LeBron doesn't do that, but I think that he has moments where it's like, bro, you're better than that. I remember in the 2012 All-Star game, God bless Kobe Bryant, where LeBron didn't want to take the last shot, and he passed it off to Carmelo Anthony. Yep. And Kobe was guarding LeBron. Yep. And then after the game, it was like, Kobe looked at LeBron like, what are you doing? Why are you passing off the shot? You're a great player. Great players take on that challenge. Yeah. And I think from that point forward, LeBron was like, damn, Kobe's right. You know what I mean? I think we saw an evolution of LeBron over time in Miami after that. But I think that at this point, people are looking at resume entirely, and there's to me, there's a bit too many holes in that resume that I just can't put him in the top 5. I point him at number 6 at the top 10, but I can't go lower than that because I respect him, and I have a good amount of respect for him not to go below than that.
Yeah.
You know what I hate about doing debates, right? I hate that I have to agree with that, with what you said. I hate that I can't argue that. Yeah. I mean, because the way he broke it down was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't help but to agree because that's real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's real talk. So man, that's crazy.
And I gotta like my own personal perspective on when the Miami Heat played the Dallas Mavericks, and I'll give you an example of what LeBron could have did doing less. Is I feel like if they would have said, you know what, Chris Bosh, we're gonna go to you at the high post, or the perimeter and allow you to wear Dirk Nowitzki out on defense. And I feel like if they could have made an intentional effort for them to attack Dirk off on the offensive end, not with LeBron, but with like players like Bosh and some of their other bigs. I think they might have had Birdman at that time. I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
They didn't have Birdman on that team.
Yeah,
Birdman came in
Oh,
2013.
Birdman after
But
that, yeah.
but primarily Bosch. If you
Right.
say this series, we're gonna take the wayside to you, Bosch. We need you to attack Dirk every time you can,
Exactly.
and you wear him down over the course of a series. Then that could have overcome all of those other players playing out of their mind, like Jason Terry and those guys, because they definitely played out of their mind. But the best player in that series was Dirk. And
It was.
And Dirk had it easy because he didn't have to do much when guarding Bosch. He could stand in the corner where they put Bosch in the deep corner, and he was just standing resting on defense as opposed to actually working. So
Yeah, Dirk was the best player, but Jason Terry's playing out of his mind, man.
but you
Yeah,
got
not just that.
you
Go
got
ahead.
to you got to make the best player on the other team work. This is
Yeah,
why
exactly.
this is why good teams try to hide their best offensive player defensively, because they don't want to wear them down. They don't want to wear them down on offense. So
Steph
they
Curry.
hide players. There's only a few great players in NBA history that actually loved taking that defensive challenge. There's not too many Michael Jordans or guys that are willing to take it on both ends. There's a lot of guys that's not even conditioned to do that anyway. So again, I think LeBron really needs to, and I think that's gonna happen this year too.
They thought it was sweet, bro. At the end of the day, they thought it was
No,
sweet.
I don't even think that. I think they just had the wrong.
I
They
think
got
so, bro.
out-coached.
They definitely did. But
They just got beat on every level of the basketball. It's not even about that, because they were supposed to win that series. And when you don't win when you don't win a 7-game series in the NBA, it's not because you didn't play hard. It's because you just got out-coached and outclassed in every level of the game. Because you can get away, like the Sixers beat the Lakers 1 game in the finals.
Right.
Right, but they were never going to beat them in a 7-game series, right?
Nope.
Because the 7-game series will expose who the better team is. And LeBron is showing that with him at the helm of these great teams, he's actually the one creating the biggest liability on the court, because he's not allowing guys, like you said, play their game. Because I think Abel, I'm not for sure if you're the one that brought this up, but there was a situation where Kobe led his team through the playoffs all the way up into the finals. And then when they got to the finals, they said, Shaq, we need you to go at Mutombo every time because you have the best matchup. But Kobe led them all the way through. But when it came to the finals, because of the matchup, we got to go to Shaq every time now. You got to dominate this final series.
Because, like that Pacers series with Kobe. How Kobe, went crazy.
Oh, no, it was against the Pacers when they went to the finals. He had to go.
It was against the Pacers.
Yeah, he had to dominate Rick Smits, because if they would have let Rick Smits get off, they wouldn't have had a chance. So
and I will tell your viewers about this. Rewind back to the 1995 playoffs with the Indiana Pacers. Rick Smits was having big series against Patrick Ewing.
Oh, yeah.
And he had really good games against Shaquille O'Neal because he had the ability to use the pick and pop and to shoot out of the left block. And unfortunately, those teams didn't know how to adjust that. And one of Shaq's biggest weaknesses is pick and rolls, because he does not like to come out and defend on perimeter players that are big guys. You check out the 2000 Western Conference Finals. What did the Blazers do? They put Sabonis out the top of the circle area there and let him shoot jump shots, because he can shoot the 3, which means there's more spacing on the Blazers offense for the guys like Rasheed Wallace to post up against AC Green or Robert Horry, or let Pippen attack. You know what I mean? But I felt like they didn't do it enough.
Yeah, he even said himself that was probably the hardest series he ever been in.
Exactly.
So yeah,
because
they got some. But
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Because the thing is, though, that with that Blazers team was they had versatility, they had depth, but the problem was they didn't use their strengths enough in Game 7. You were up by 16 and you were taking perimeter shots. You let Steve Smith take perimeter shots. You let Pippen take perimeter shots. Why not let the ball go over to Rasheed Wallace instead of fading towards your fadeaway? Attack them, because you had advantages in that matchup, and they didn't utilize it enough, which reflected on how many times they missed their jump shots. Yeah,
that just shows you how great of a coach Phil Jackson is. How he's able to make those adjustments, see what's happening at the thick of the moment, and able to make those adjustments and go forward with that. So,
one of the big adjustments there of that series was that instead of letting Shaq attack the double teams, Will Jackson scratched that idea. He said, you know what? I'm going to put Brian Shaw into the point guard position to open up the floor.
Right.
And then anytime Shaq gets double teamed, Shaq's a good passer out of the double team, and that's why Brian Shaw went off. And I remember on NBA Open Court when Steve Smith talked about that combat, he said, and I vividly remember this. He said, "Listen, I'm gonna try not to come. Let's try to get off of Glenn Rice instead of Brian Shaw, because what people don't know is Steve Smith was a former teammate of Brian Shaw, and he saw him hit like 10 threes in a row in one game. So he knows how hot Brian Shaw can be, probably better than Glenn Rice could. And what happened? They decided to keep an eye on Glenn Rice, let Brian Shaw get off, and rest is history.
Man.
Yep. Hey, man, that's all facts, man. Like I said, and that's not. I'm not trying to bash LeBron. Again, that's just pointing out why he struggled in critical moments. Yeah. And again, he struggled in critical moments because, again, with his skill set does not allow him to dominate at the end of games like Jordan and Kobe. But he has to do a better job before the fourth quarter even happens to put his team in a situation to win the game, because if it comes down to being a close game, he's going to have to rely on the Kyrie Irvings to bail him out in the clutch. He's going to have to rely on the Ray Allens to hit the tough shots, because he's not going to be able to do that. So, again, as long as he can find a way to keep his team ahead big first, second, and third quarter, and he can stay away from those really tight fourth quarters, his teams can find success. So
sometimes he has to play off the ball.
That's his weakness.
That's one of the big criticisms I have of him.
Play off the ball.
Never learns how to play off the ball. Can you imagine if LeBron learned how to play off the ball instead of bringing the ball up the court every time?
All the time. Man, you see what happened when he did play off the ball. You got to check this shit with Kyrie. Let him go. Let him play. Let Kevin Love let him play.
Yeah.
You slash, go get the rebound, put it back, kick it out. I mean, you're that athletic to do that. And another one of my big criticisms to him is he takes plays off. I hate that. Sometimes he don't get up the court. Sometimes if you don't get up this court, you know what I'm saying? Like, he takes you too. Come on, man, you too dominant. You too big of a star.
You got to think, and this is why superstar players can't necessarily do that. It's because you got all eyes on you, and players follow your lead. And that's why I'm really big on that moment where I saw Kyle Kuzma pushing LeBron James into his defensive help position. Because I say that's big because what those young guys will talk about that in the locker room.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, they got LeBron doing all this on offense. He's making us do all the defense. I had to push his ass in the defensive help position. Yeah. And that's what causes those conflicts in the locker room. It starts with plays just like that. Yeah. So you got more of a responsibility when you're a great player to not take plays off, because other players, and this is not even about fans, we're going to critique anyway, but your teammates that's going to affect your teammates and how they play. And again,
but that's his problem, because he always got the ball in his hand, just like you said. He needs to learn to play off the ball. Like, just run down, let them run the ball up the court where you can get a breather, and then you can get into your sets. You know what I'm saying? Just learn how to play off the ball, man. Mm-hmm.
Hey, and I just got a report here, because you know how Ticket TV, he's been saying that there's been a lot of divisions in that Laker locker room.
Yeah.
A report just dropped. It says, despite dissenting voices concerning the NBA restart, team members say that there is time to figure things out. There's no divide among Laker players. So again,
I didn't see that anyway.
And that's Dave McMenamin of ESPN. That's definitely a trusted source. So again, that's why I say, man, this is what. Remember, I was talking to Mehari the other day in the group. I was saying there's a lot of things that go on in that locker room that we don't necessarily hear about. We have a perception from the outside looking in of what we think is going on, but those players a lot of times will be laughing at some of the stuff that we say. Or what we think, as fans or as the media. They will literally laugh at it. And that's why with that Draymond Green situation, with the tweet getting liked, it's hard for me to judge it, because I know players, especially a tight-knit group like that, Draymond, Clay, Steph, that's a tight-knit group. Like you don't win, you don't go to all those finals, you don't win 3 championships if you're not a tight-knit group in some way, shape, or form off the court. And so I know there has to be more to that tweet getting liked than what we see, right?
Right.
And that's why I say I'm not going to be the one to jump so quick to be like, oh, Steph and Draymond hate each other. Steph needs to go check. He needs to go check Draymond Green, and because again, we don't know if Draymond Green accidentally liked the tweet and unliked it. How do we know he didn't immediately text Steph, say, Steph, I accidentally liked this stupid ass tweet, man. I'm sorry, man. It's probably gonna be a whole bunch of media backlash. Steph probably said, I understand. It was an accident. We don't know if he had that conversation.
That's true.
Because they talk on a daily basis. We don't.
Yeah.
So, again, and like I said, at the end of the day, it was stupid to accidentally like it. I mean, when you're an NBA player, and you got to be able to know that accidentally liking something like that can create big problems from the outside looking in. But and that's why I say we'll see going into this season how much of this stuff is actually affecting them. Because if they come out blazing hot, and they start off with they start the season with a 30-5 record. Well, what are we gonna say? What are we gonna say then? Because again, they're the team most geared up to challenge the Clippers for a title next year. I mean, you got to think of what they got coming in. They're gonna have a lottery pick coming in. They got Clay and Steph, Dre coming back. They still got Wiggins. What we forget about. We don't know what type of trades they're gonna make to get better. They've promised to bring another superstar in. So we don't know what the Warriors are going to look like next year. And as you guys always talk about, they have a lot of young players on that bench who were able to use this year to develop significantly. You know, Eric Pascal, Jordan Poole, these are guys that are going to be integral parts of that team going forward. And I like Pascal because, yes, he is – they did bring him in to be Draymond Green's replacement. But we have to understand that Draymond Green is 30 now. Like, how many more years of Draymond Green do we expect? See, that's just a team being a good organization. You have to bring players in before you need them. Like, trash teams will bring a player in after they need him. Warriors will bring a player in before they need him. So if Draymond goes down because he's 30, if he gets traded, if he's not around, if he starts to decline, well, now we have this young guy here ready to go because we've groomed him well ahead of time. So that's why I say the Warriors are kind of light years ahead of some of these teams because they just get prepared for some of this stuff. But, while we're on that topic, we got to get on Draymond Green, man. Now, so here's the first question. And I want you to be completely honest because behind the scenes, I've gotten mixed answers. The debate with 2 Raw, man. What is who? Okay, so I'm not saying, like I said, I don't want to say 2 Raw was wrong. My personal feelings on the debate was he didn't bring enough actual facts to back up what he's saying. Like, I may debate you about this topic, and you may come with some hard facts, like facts that just straight negate anything I have to say. I felt like everything he had to say was based off the emotion stemming from the fact he just doesn't like Draymond. And I think it's a very weak argument because you can't come up with the numbers. You can't come up with the stats to say that he isn't a good player.
Right.
You can't come up with the accolades to say that he's not a good player. So you say your only argument is, can he guard Hakeem? That's really the only thing I heard. Can he do what Rodman does? And I think those are weak arguments because you're talking about Dennis Rodman, the greatest rebounder, defender of all time. We will never see another Dennis Rodman. And then Hakeem Olajuwon had the best footwork of any big man in NBA history. And you're asking me if Draymond Green can guard him when Draymond Green, he doesn't guard 5s. He switches off onto 5s when he has to, but he's normally guarding 3s and 4s. And he's only guarding bigs on switches. So what do you feel about that debate, man? Let us know, man.
Well, I didn't hear about the details of the debate, whatever. But the thing about with Draymond and Hakeem Olajuwon thing here, I think it's more of hyperbole because with those matchups will never happen. There's only one Hakeem. There's only one Dennis Rodman. We can't ask Draymond to defend those players. You can't. It's kind of like in boxing. It's kind of like what Roy Jones went through. They're saying like, oh, Roy Jones didn't fight this guy, and I'm like, you can't force him to turn back the clock and make him fight those fights. It can't happen. The same applies with Draymond. Now, the one thing that I know I respect about Draymond is this: he has unbelievable work ethic. I think for a guy to come in there as an undersized power forward, to lead his college team in scoring, lead them to a Final Four, and win National Player of the Year, it shows a lot about his work ethic and the ability to work his tail out to make the best out of himself based on the skills that he was basically learned during his life. Now, I will say that this coaching staff had a lot to do with, with putting Draymond Green in a position where he's able to succeed, because I think the big criticism of Mark Jackson was that he did not know how to put Draymond Green in a spot where we'd be able to know what his role is on the team. He kept putting Draymond and Green in unfamiliar positions where he was most uncomfortable with. You know what I mean? And I think that has something to do a little bit about why he was given the dismissal, even though there's been other stuff there that I'm not going to get into that. Now, the thing about what Draymond and I respect about him is, I'm going to break this part into two different arguments, the good and the bad. The good is Draymond is excellent, in bringing the ball up the court. He's excellent in terms of commanding the defense. More importantly, he's excellent in terms of understanding what the players need to do defensively there. When you talk about a team that is sound defensively, you need a defensive captain or defensive anchor to command the defense, and Draymond Green does his role to perfection on that. Because if you don't have any defensive anchors to try to command the defense, it means no good. You know what I mean? And that's why they've always been in the top 5 in terms of defensive efficiency. Because even though people say that they're always an offensive team, go check out their defensive ratings. Yeah. They're among the top leaders in defensive efficiency. Yeah. They can't defend and they can't shut you down. If they want to play a low-scoring game, they'll be willing to do that. They play depending on what the opponent does to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then
that's true.
The one thing that I like about Draymond is that Draymond, he's very passionate about what he does. Yeah. Now, we're going to get into the bad now. The thing about what I don't like about Draymond is that his emotional outbursts get in the way of what he's good at. Because if he learned how to channel that emotion more effectively, then he would be a much more complete player that people would respect him for. Now, do we expect him to be a 20-point game scorer? No, we don't, because he just doesn't have the offensive prowess to do it. We expect him to do his role and do his job. But I feel like sometimes Draymond Green, in his ego, that he sometimes allows his ego to get in the way of what he was able to do for the team, and sometimes his emotional instability at times comes across as very, very weak, and sometimes can get in the way of what the team's trying to do. Case in point, during that Clipper game, was it back in 2019, bring the ball up the court, all you got to do is pass it to Clay or KD, and you win the game. And there would never been no argument with that. But because, Kevin Durant was becoming a free agent, it created some tension there. What is KD coming back to the team or not? And Draymond Green took it personal, and then he basically cussed him out like, "We don't need you, we don't want you." Yeah. After you basically begged him to come over in 2016. Yeah. So
well, I feel you, but I can disagree. I take the Draymond Green. I don't know if you've seen the interview, how he on All the Smoke, how he actually broke it down.
Yeah, I did see some of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with Draymond Green, because it should be everyone should be on one accord. Everyone. Right. We all knew what we were doing. We all knew that we were coming back. We all knew what to expect. There was no, we didn't have to worry about anybody. Only person we had to worry about was Kevin Durant. He was making all this fuss about he don't know what he's doing, this and that. Nothing was set in stone. So it all, put everything up in the air. But if you check out the documentary of, the Michael Jordan documentary, how everyone knew it was the last dance. Everyone knew that, what to expect, what we're doing. We're going to go out. We're going to fight as a team. It just seemed like it was the Warriors and it was Kevin Durant. It wasn't no type of cohesive unit.
I think that something had to do with the fact that the media plays those kind of games with great teams too, because they tried to plan it as Kevin Durant wants to leave when maybe he didn't want to leave, and it created a divide within the team that I think it has something to do why Draymond Green cussed him out like that. But at the end of the day, I saw after the All the Smoke podcast when they did it with Kevin Durant. I believed him when he basically said after that I was just pretty much through. And you can tell during the season, like even though he was still playing at his normal high level,
he was gone mental. He was
pretty much done because he was like, "Why am I here for? You all asked me to come over here, and I get you 2 championships, and now you don't. And now you ask me to leave because you don't appreciate me." Like, I don't want to deal with that.
Well,
Kevin Durant is one of those emotional players,
but
too.
Here's where so when Draymond Green said what he had to say on All the Smoke podcast, here's where I agree with what he said. Because he said, as a group, they all would come to each other and let them know their intentions. And, you know, whether the media asks questions or not, the media is going to ask questions. They were all basically saying that they wanted, because obviously you got to understand the Warriors are a different team internally. This is what also helped. The chemistry that they had off the court and in the locker room was what made them so great on the court. So when he says that they expected him to say, you know, if you're leaving, just let us know.
Just let us know.
Right?
Yeah.
So because we got to deal with these questions every day on a daily basis. And we don't want the media, like, we're not going to tell the media what you plan on doing. But again, at the end of the day, at least we know, you know, what time it is. So, and so what I feel and I'll give you an example of this, why I know this is true, is because that's what Harrison Barnes did with them. So everybody was wondering, what is Harrison Barnes? Because this is when Harrison Barnes was highly touted when he left. And he told them at the beginning of the season, I'm probably going to go try to get paid. He's like, at the end of the season, I'm probably leaving. He's like, we might as well just try to win this championship. I think they ended up losing the championship that year.
That's the one 2016.
But he let them know before the season started. Nobody let it go to the media. Nobody told anybody. But he had told them before the season started, this is my last year just because it's my time to get paid. He didn't know where he was going. He just knew he was going to go to the highest bidder. And he knew the Warriors couldn't afford him. So that's what they mean by, that's what he meant by keep us in the loop. Because they were talking about the Harrison Barnes situation all year. Where is he going to sign? How is Golden State going to make the money work? And the team knew the players knew all along. The media never knew. They didn't let it slip. So that's what I feel like he meant by just let us know. So at least at the end of the day, in the back of our mind, like, we have something to play for. If this is the last trip, you saw how the Bulls played with the Last Dance. If we know this is the last trip with you, we're going to go all out for you, you know?
Right.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, but here's the counter argument to that, though. Here's the counter argument to this. I initially agree with that because I think that if you let the players know, listen, I'm probably going to go somewhere else to get a bigger money or bigger check, that's fine. But I think what came across that is how kind of Draymond Green said it in open public. That right there to me was kind of the breaking of the dissension of that team. And from my viewpoint, now I know that there's a lot of things that could be said that we don't know about behind the scenes. I think that Draymond kind of holds responsibility for that because in a sense that if you basically saying like, listen, we don't need you, we don't want you and all that, like, bro, the way you cried, he kind of said it came across like, dude, why you gotta wash him out like that? You know, you don't need to do that, especially if it's out there where the reporters can see it right in front of you, face center. They'll use that as ammunition. You can't give the media that kind of opportunity to give that kind of ammunition. Now, I do agree that, you know, KD should have taken some culpability in terms of, hey, I'm going to probably look to play somewhere else, and maybe that could have calmed some things a bit, and they probably would have went out a little bit. But I kind of feel it goes both ways. But go ahead, Seth.
I still think that it's KD, man. I just feel like, just like in a relationship, communication is the key. Right. Communication is key. I just feel like that's been lingering on for so long, and they've been asking him, like Draymond said. He said that they've been asking him, just let us know what's going on. Like if you're gonna leave or not. And then KD, he's so just, I don't know. He just such an emotional. He could be a little girl sometimes.
KD goes back and forth about his emotions. There's sometimes I feel like KD can be too petty to a fault, and then there's times where I feel like, he has the right to feel that way because the media attacks him. Right. At the same time, you try to create a narrative that's not true about him. Why do you think he acts the way he acts? Because he's a very defensive person.
Yeah, but I mean, Like they go back and I mean it goes back and forth. Like I said, I just feel like he knew what he was doing. He just didn't know how to he just didn't know how to tell him, and everything just boiled over with the media, and then him cursing out the media and saying, you know, just walking out of interviews and things of that nature. I feel like because he was on All the Smoke as well, and he said it was either on All the Smoke or what is it? Not the Knucklehead podcast. Was it Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles podcast? He said that when Draymond cursed him out, that's when he knew he was gone. But I don't think that's true. I just think that was a cop out. I think he already knew he was gone.
Well, that's true because there were already reports leaking that he wanted to go play with Kyrie, in New York and then everybody originally thought New York, but then it turned out to be Brooklyn. But they had they were already talking about playing together. I don't think those rumors just came out of nowhere and it just magically happened to come to fruition. It was some truth. Somebody leaked some information, and I think it was frustrating on all sides once that started to leak. Because I guarantee you, when that leaked, the players heard it first.
Yep.
And then the media heard it.
And that's when it started. Yeah, because every interview, that was the question.
But I'll give this to Abel. You know, one thing about Draymond is his fuck-ups with Golden State have been massive fuck-ups. And that's what makes his fuck-ups worse, because his fuck-ups, when he got suspended for swiping at LeBron, that's massive. For that, when he cussed Durant out on the court live in front of everybody, that's a massive fuck up. So his mistakes, or when he went off on Steve Kerr and the media was around to record the whole conversation in the locker room, that's what I'm saying is these are
the
massive fuck ups that he needs to understand, that if you continue to have these big massive fuck ups, it's going to give all of these people with this ammunition against you who already don't like you, is going to give them more reason to call you a bum, call you overrated, do this and other. Nobody's going to respect your game because you're having such mental breakdowns on the court. And that's where I give you that one. He has his mental breakdowns are not like the J.R. Smith moment. J.R. Smith had one of those in his whole career. Draymond's had like 4 of them. These mental breakdowns on the court that have completely fucked up situations. So
I just feel
I'll give you that.
But the thing about him and JR, though his fort are so massive, bro. Like in moments, in critical moments, you're doing this in the finals. You're doing this in the playoffs. You're doing this. You know what I'm saying? Why? You choose now to do this.
But that's just Draymond.
You're dividing the team.
But I feel like the Warriors have accepted now that they take the good with the bad, because to be honest though, it's been more good with Draymond than bad. I mean, anybody's going to take the 3 championships along with the headaches with Draymond.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Dennis Rodman too, because they gave Rodman all sorts of privileges that most teams today they would not allow now.
Oh my God! But they understood him. That was a family. That's called a family right there.
But it takes special personalities like Steph and Clay, who are so calm. They're so calm. They laugh Draymond off half the time because they know. They say, "Oh, what did they say? That's Dre being Dre." That's what they always say.
Just right? Like Mike and Scotty with Dennis.
And that's what I mean by it takes special personalities to deal with them. But if you can tolerate it and get through it, it's gonna pay off. They got 3 championships out of it. Again, how many? What do you think Carmelo? What do you think Carmelo would trade to get one of those championships? Like,
I mean, you go back to the contract extension he signed with Denver. I think that was around 2009, 2010. Because remember, here's the one thing that you guys, I'm sure you guys already know by now. The original big 3 of Miami was going to be Melo, D-Wade, and LeBron. But because Melo signed a contract extension with Denver, Bosh was pretty much Bosh was going to be the next person in line. So I think
it was Amari, actually.
Maybe it was Amari, maybe Amari, maybe Bosh. I don't know, but it could be one of the 2. But the thing was, it was supposed to be Melo, LeBron, and D-Wade. And when Melo signed the contract extension,
that's what messed everything.
that's kind of, what kind of set things in stone. And I think Melo kind of said that it was probably one of his biggest mistakes because he could have played with LeBron and could have won a ring there. And the other two thing was, and something you can't control, is when he got drafted on by the Nuggets, and then he should have been drafted by the Pistons. But you got Joe Dumars to blame.
Yeah, that's in that. So
I don't know what the hell.
I think, like I said, you can run down the list. Like if you look at great teams, they always have that one crazy player, like Vernon Maxwell with Houston. The Bulls had Dennis Rodman. All of these teams had one crazy player. Like the Lakers, they had Rick Fox, and people don't understand it. He was pretty crazy himself, especially off the court. I mean, all these teams got this one crazy personality that fires them up. He might not be the most dominant player scoring-wise on the court, but he does just all those crazy little things that you just won't find the average player doing. Like, nobody can remember a Rick Fox stat, but we know he was essential with the Lakers because of what he did.
See, the thing with Rick Fox is that he was essential for his defensive ability in terms of his open shooting too. Because in the Sacramento series, he was the primary defender against Peja Stojakovic, and he shut Peja Stojakovic throughout that whole series. I still remember it from 03 when
that was a tough task right there. The way Peja was shooting, that was tough. So.
He still shoot the same now.
Well, and then, so what do you think about? And I'm gonna give you this argument because this is the last thing we say about Draymond. What do you think about an honest assessment of his performance against Toronto in the finals? And should Warriors fan have expected more from him scoring wise? And even if he would have did that, would it have even helped?
I mean, you got to consider the fact that they lost Durant. Thompson was hurt. They lost some of their top scorers, so it is going to take a major effect. But when you're basically one of the core players of that team, sometimes you got to go outside of what your role is and try to contribute a bit more. I felt like Draymond Green could have done a bit more. I don't think it would have maybe affected the outcome of the series. But I felt like he could have done a little bit more by maybe doing much more defensive work on Pascal Siakam, because I remember Siakam, he's literally just facing on Draymond Green in a way where I never seen Draymond Green get that frustrated before. Because normally what against Draymond is he would limit your scoring ability. You would still get your points, but they were not like impact points.
Mm-hmm.
What Pascal Siakam was doing, they were impact points that changed the tenor of the pretty much changed the momentum of games. So therefore, I felt like Draymond could have done a bit more, but when you lost some of your top scorers, it's gonna make this much more difficult. So I can't put too much blame on Draymond Green for that.
I'm gonna give you a quick comparison, and Steph can relate to this because this involves Steph as well. And this is not like on the level of NBA, but it's basketball. So me and Steph, we play on a league team where normally we have a pretty strong team. Remember when we made our championship run, Steph?
Yeah.
We have a pretty strong team. There would be some games when two of our best players wouldn't show up. And it would literally force me and Steph to do more. But even though we would do more, we would still lose by like 15, 20. You're all right, but what I'm saying is it's not easy when you lose Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Kevin Looney, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala is dealing with injury. So you're dealing with 5 essential core players, not just your two best shooters or 2 of your best scorers, but you also lose great defenders and role players. Yep. And then you ask one player to assume some unhumanly internal strength or intestinal fortitude to get better offensively and over. Even if he drops 20 a game, I'm telling you what's going to happen. It's going to affect him in another area of the game because scoring in game is draining. And if you drop, let's say he does drop 25 a game, but if he scores 25 a game, will he have 19 rebounds in 2 of those games? Because in 2 of those games he had 19 rebounds. So we can nitpick about the scoring, but it's always going to affect another area. So if you score more, it's going to affect you somewhere else, probably defensively, probably on the rebounds because you're going to be more tired. And if you're defending hard, it's probably going to affect you on the offensive end because, again, you're going to be drained either way. I think it was just too much to ask for one player to say, step up and win this championship for us, even though we're completely depleted. No bench, no stars, nothing. And they say he didn't play well, but 19 rebounds in 2 finals games, that's not a small accomplishment. That's like,
that ain't easy.
That's not easy,
especially a man his size.
Let me say a quick example about my experience too, because when I played SO ball, it's a funny thing. I used to be the primary scorer, and I would have to tell my guys, see, what people don't understand is when you play SO ball, you deal with people that have very intellectual, different type of abilities of learning the game. It tested my patience a lot. There were times where I felt like I was cussing them out, not actually trying to insult them, but I'm trying to tell them what to do and all that. And people don't understand, like, long term, mentally and physically, it drains on you because you're trying to tell your teammates what to do in terms of how to play zone defense, help defense. And then on offense, I'm trying to, set up pick and roll or try to set up a backdoor cut of somebody to get an easy basket for my teammate or for myself. It's like a long time. It wears you down, and sometimes I would have to take a lot of different type of shots, like shots from the corners, fadeaways, and my coaches have like, why are you not passing the ball? Like, why my guys are not in their proper position to try to get them the ball so they can score effectively? And so the earlier years, I felt like I was doing a lot more. But then as I started to trust my teammates and started to, incorporate some of their strengths and what they're able to do, then I started to pull back a little bit. Even though I was still getting my numbers like 28 points per game, I started to pull back a bit and didn't have to assert my whole entire will upon the game. I only did it when I at least had to.
Yeah.
I hear you.
What you think about that, Steph?
Your passion for the game, man. That's just your passion for the game.
Yeah.
I mean, Draymond Green.
That's true.
But, it's not like I said, I want to make this clear here. And I think I've said it before, but I'm not saying Draymond Green some Hall of Fame player. No. Even though I feel like he might weasel his way into the Hall of Fame, especially if they can win another 1 or 2 championships. He's almost a shoo-in. But I'm not saying he's just this great player. I'm just saying he's probably one of the greatest role players of all time.
That is true.
Right?
I agree with that.
You said the Hall of Fame. So there's different means for the Hall of Fame. Like, let's get this together because there's some people in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
There's some people. I know this is a debate for another day, but I mean Terrell Owens. Why? Come on now.
Oh, that's NFL.
I know, but I'm just saying though.
The NFL is really weird. The NFL is really weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
The basketball. The good thing about basketball, the only bad pick of a Hall of Fame that I've seen in my lifetime has been Tracy McGrady. I don't think he deserves to be in the Hall. He never got out of the first round of the playoffs. He had an injury-prone career. And again, when you're talking about Hall of Fame, injury-prone careers matter. I mean, like I said, we're not going to put Brandon Roy in the Hall of Fame, even though he would have been a Hall of Famer had he not been injured. But I'm saying I don't want to credit somebody with what they could have done if they weren't hurt.
That's why this would be a whole different argument because if Tracy McGrady's in the Hall of Fame, Draymond Green can retire now.
But I'm saying
should be in the Hall of Fame.
It happens far less in the NBA than it does in any other sport.
Right.
That's what I
said.
said.
It's a popularity thing for T-Mac.
Yeah,
he was a great player.
Yeah, but you know what? Another guy that I felt like that should have not been in the Hall of Fame. I made a video about this. I said Grant Hill. He got into the Hall of Fame based on his reputation.
Yeah,
that is a fact.
Listen, when you look at his career, Grant Hill is a top 5 great player because he revolutionized the point forward position to what it is now. That's why guys like LeBron James made it much more sexier in a sense.
Right.
But when you look back at his career, when he basically injured his ankle, he missed a lot of time. And his teams, when he was in his prime, they never even made it past out of the first round, especially when he was in Detroit. Yeah. So how can I put him in there as a Hall of Famer? The only time he made the conference finals was when he was basically a shell of himself in Phoenix.
Right.
You know what I mean? To me, he's a Hall of Fame talent, but Hall of Fame talent is much more different in terms of what you did during your career and what your resume
Yeah.
is. But when they put him into the Hall of Fame, I was like, why
It's
would
a-
you put him in there?
It's like a
I
lifetime
think it's all
achievement.
based- It's biased.
Yeah, it's like a lifetime
It's
achievement
biased to
award.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, like,
It's biased to me, but we need to save that debate though, because
Yeah,
there's
we
a lot
definitely-
more
Yeah.
that I can go into.
We definitely got to talk about that. We definitely
Yes,
got to talk about
yes.
that.
Invite me to that episode because I got a lot more. To say about that.
But no, you
Well,
right, man. Hey, but
We definitely got to. I need to. I'm gonna put that in the iPad and write. You know what I'm saying? Jot that down.
oh yeah,
Yes.
keep that down. But yeah,
Topics.
I'm glad we
Yeah,
touched
man.
on. I'm glad we touched on all these topics, man. Because
Most definitely, man.
I mean, like I said, Abel, he hasn't really been as aggressive on Draymond Green as some of the other guys.
Yeah.
Because he's been critical of him, which like he broke down. There are some things that you can criticize him for, but if we're just talking about basketball, it's a far stretch to just say somebody's a complete bum.
Right.
Especially if they're already in the NBA. Like being in the NBA, it's not easy to even get considered, and then to actually have success in the NBA, it takes a little bit more than just being a bum. You don't luck up and do all the stuff that he's done.
Yeah,
So-
I that's where I kind of disagree in a sense because listen, Draymond Green, we could say what he does wrong, but we need to start maybe realizing a bit what he can do right. But I think that the outbursts take away what he's been able to achieve in the NBA in a sense. So that's why a lot of us, like myself, pretty much gave Draymond Green negative reviews. It's not about his skills. It's more about what he does on the court there too, because he doesn't need to do that.
Yep. That's facts, man. That's why I say I like he's had massive mistakes that have opened the door for people to use his character to take away from his game.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
what's really hurt him in the long run. But we've been going strong here for about an hour and 15 minutes, Mehari.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah, man, we definitely gotta. Hey, don't jump off just yet, but we definitely gotta start to wrap this show up. Again, make sure you let everybody know your social media stuff. Let everybody know your YouTube channel. Just go ahead and tell them real quick so everybody will have it.
Sure. My channel is called MehariNation Sports Podcast on YouTube, part of the LDBC. You can follow me on Instagram, MehariNation23. You also follow me on Twitter, MehariNation3 as well.
All right, and also y'all note that his YouTube channel link will be in the description of this video. Make sure you go into that link. Make sure you go to his channel and subscribe, man. We got to get this man, make it a go. Get this man, to help him get to 1,000 subscribers, man. Again, it's only gonna start by if we all work together to get him there. So make sure you go subscribe to his channel, show him some love, man. Because again, he definitely knows his basketball, man. As you can see, everybody has different viewpoints at the end of the day, but we can all find common ground on some basketball stuff, especially if we can sit down and talk about it. And then remember what we say, FYF, you got to forget your feelings. We just dealing with straight basketball here. But as we
one thing I gotta show you guys though, this is the silver medal from the World Games though too.
Man, look at him. He's showing out, man. He's showing out.
I need one of those.
Hey, who'd y'all lose to?
We lost to Spain in the championship game.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
they beat that we were up. I think like maybe 5 points heading into the fourth, and then they hit us with an 8-1, and I tried my best to try to get back into the game, but they just were too much for us that day. But I'm so proud of this because at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade this for anything.
man, that's great. Hey, you know what? I've held one of those medals before. Those things are heavy.
They are heavy though.
Like they got some weight to them. That's crazy.
I know. I was surprised. Honestly, I was more surprised how heavy this was though. But I brought it back with my friends, and I told everybody this all the time. I wouldn't trade this for anything, and I always will forever hang this up on my wall. If I had to put a picture frame on it, I would gladly do that.
Hey, man, like I said, y'all, man, this man has accomplished stuff in his lifetime that a lot of us will never have an opportunity to do, man. And again, you can see a lot of people out here, man, making these excuses. This is why, when Ticket TV talks about what athletes are supposed to do, this is why I'm so critical of people who don't take charge and start doing stuff themselves. They'll ask LeBron James, they'll ask Kyrie Irving, they'll ask athletes to do this stuff, but then they'll soon as they turn off the TV, they'll turn the Xbox on and they're playing Xbox all night. You see what I'm saying? So they're not doing anything. So I say that's why people like you are the reason why I hold individuals accountable for some of the stuff that's going on socially, as opposed to always pointing the blame at our entertainers and our athletes for not doing more. Because again, they're humans just like us. The only difference there is they just have a little bit more fame and they make a little bit more money. All right, they put a lot on the line as well. So again, we got to do our part to try to help out when we can. And again, even if it's small, whether it's a $10 donation to some of these people's campaigns or Black Lives Matter, go do something. Don't just sit around, man. You got anything else you want to say, Steph?
Yeah, again, thanks for the support that we've been receiving as of late. Continue to like, comment, and subscribe. I encourage mostly to comment. We love the support. We love the feedback. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And that's all I have.
Hey, well, Mehari, he got lucky today because we know FYF Fred didn't really need to snap on him too crazy. So FYF, like Fred.
Follow our Facebook, Go Talk as well. Go Talk.
Yeah, NBA Go Talk on Facebook. It's a group. We're gonna be having our live debates there. We're gonna have live debates that are gonna be streamed on Facebook Live and YouTube. So make sure you go NBA Go Talk on Facebook. Join that group.
And how many we need? At least
once we get to 500 members,
500. Okay.
We're gonna have our first debate. Again, you'll have an opportunity to jump in these debates, win cash prizes or tickets to some of these basketball games once they start back up. But again, it's all about just everybody jumping into that forum so we can communicate and link and talk and just talk sports in general. But again, like I said, we've been running. This probably been the longest interview we've had since, but it's actually been one of the funnest interviews. So again, we appreciate Abel Mehari of Mehari Sports Nation podcast for joining us today. We appreciate that. And again, it's FYF Sports, man. He came and represented it today. So again, I have nothing bad to say about this, man. Only respect.
Yeah, salute to you, man.
All right, y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
FYF Sports. Hey, we out of here.